Hi, and welcome to our class. Today we're going to talk a bit about children, and I'm going to break them up in babies, daycare children, and school children because I have experienced kids in all those varieties, and I found some things that sometimes parents forget, or sometimes you don't think about it, and there is a lot of things to actually learn about kids that you might not think about. And I'm not saying that anyone out there is a bad parent because every parent is doing the best they can, and that is how it works. We all do the best we can. Sometimes the best just isn't enough. And then that is where you need to get help, or you have to ask for advice, or you have to Google something. And it's not that uncommon for people not to know what to do because every child is unique. So everything you face with that child can be unique to what other people has faced, and that is just a fact of life. But I will try to come across some of the stuff from baby stage and to adult stage that we have to focus a bit about while having kids, like raising and taking care of them. So we can give them abilities they can use in their daily life that will actually help them both as kids and adults. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is actually uh, a thing I learned as a parent, that you need to have plastic sheets not only in the baby bed but in your own bed, because the mom can produce milk without knowing in it, and it can wetten the entire bed. So it just so you know that. But when you get home with a baby, there's a lot of guides and a lot of things. So that is actually pretty well covered. There's some things you might not know, like the fact that a fart can hurt a baby a lot because it has trouble passing through the intestines because the intestines are so small. So if it's a big fart, it will actually hurt the baby and it will cry a lot. And then you can massage the belly a bit, and that will help pass the gas. But other than that, there is a million books and a million guides on babies, so I'm not really gonna cover that bit, uh, other than saying that when you have a baby and before it begins in daycare, let it explore, let it find out things. That is how it learns. It is by grabbing things, like going around looking at things with the hands and mouth, and that's how they learn. So let them. Now, when the kid becomes the age of beginning to go to daycare, that differs from country to country. And it's important that in when it begins to do that, that you begin to allow the kid to slowly do things on its own. So it becomes self-helped. So it knows how to take on the shoes and how to take on a blouse or a jacket, and give yourself the time in the morning and afternoon to actually allow the child to do it instead of just rushing through it and doing it for it. Because if you keep doing it for the child, then in the end the child won't know how to do it properly, and it has to look to other kids to learn it. And it's just easier if you teach them that. And it's the same if you are going around doing some stuff at home. And let's say you have a hammer, then and the child is interested in the hammer, then give it the hammer to them and tell them about the hammer, how it works, how you use it. And if you have the time and effort and you have the place, let them try and nail in a nail or something so they know about a hammer, because it will trigger something inside of them. Then they will be curious about it. And the more you allow them to be curious, the better, because that will help them later in life. And when you have a child in that age that comes to you and say, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to play with, then don't just set them in front of the TV or give them an iPad. Tell them, then figure it out yourself what you want to do. You have your room, go to your room, find something to play with, because we have forgotten how it is to not know what to do. And that is a skill you need to learn. You need to be bored sometimes, because that will spark your imagination and it will help you generate ideas on what to do. And that is slowly vanishing because we are so used to telling our kids what they should do all the time. So if they come and say, I don't know what to do, I'm bored, then we just go like, well, here's a game, do that, or here's this, do that, instead of actually saying, well, I don't know what you should do either, but you can go to your room and find something to play with. And that by that, they have to be forced to actually think themselves, to think, what do I actually want to do? And that will make them curious on life and self-realize something inside. And if they have to play with something, also allow them to, if you are in a wood and you see something that could be deadly, don't let them play with that, of course. But if they want to climb up a small hill and you were like, oh, but the kid could fall, let them climb the hill. If they trip and fall, then pick them up and help them afterwards. But they have to have that risk in the playing because that is how they learn about themselves, about the world. It's not by being put in a blanket and just being carried around all the time. Then they won't get the right world view of how the world coexists and how the world works. So it's important in play with kids that there is some sort of risk at times so they can learn from it because that leans into risk assassination so they know how to assess a future risk. Like if a kid has been taught how to climb a tree, they know how to climb a tree, they know how high they can go, they know what branches to use. So the risk of hurting themselves is less than someone who has never climbed a tree and who is just being shoved up a tree because then they don't know what branches to hold on. They don't know where to stand and they get scared and then they can't get down and they need help. You need to let them learn. And if they really don't know how to get down and you can't talk them down, then you have to help them down, of course, but not by just grabbing them and pulling them down. No, by offering a hand so they have your hand to hold into while they try something there is a risk in. And if the risk works, let's say that they are afraid that the branch they are going to put their hand on will break, then hold their hand and say, I have you in case that breaks. I will grab you then. I have you here. And then they will try it. And if it doesn't break, they will know to the next time what to do and have learned from that experience. It's the same while walking downstairs. Let the child try walking up and downstairs. You can stand at the end to be ready to grab them if they fall, if they're the first time. Otherwise, teach them how to scoot on the butt down the stairs, and then later using arms and legs. But there, you have to teach them about the risk and let them try the risk. Otherwise, they will be unprepared for the real life. Now, when we're talking about self-sustainability, we also have to talk about potty training, and that is important. And one of the things that is important with potty training is give the kid time. It has to learn to feel inside on itself when I'm done. You can't just say you're done now. They have to feel it themselves. But if they've been sitting there for like 15 minutes, yeah, they're probably done. But it's something they have to learn. And if you are a parent who gives them an iPad or something while they're doing it, that is actually not helping them because then they're not feeling themselves, then they are feeling the iPad. And that can hurt them in the long run because then they won't actually always know when they have to take a piss or have to make number two. And that is not good because they need to learn it as a kid. And by doing that, when they begin to learn to go to the toilet for themselves, you have to teach them how to actually wipe and how much toilet paper to use. Because I have seen a lot of kids from both my professional life and friends and family who uses half a toilet roll because they've made number two or they have peed. And that is just not right. And it's a skill that they need to learn. So you have to talk to them about it. Actually, and when they say, when they begin to use the toilet, but they don't know how to wipe themselves yet, then when you are wiping them, tell them a bit about how what you're doing, the way you're doing it, how you're looking to make sure there's no more poo, by maybe looking at the paper and showing them, and then you can fold the paper, no more poo, wipe again, still poo, then you take a new piece of paper. Um, Teach them about that as well, because otherwise you might have a kid who is using tons of toilet paper up to a age of a teenager, because then they reach an age where they're like, holy shit, I'm using a lot of toilet paper. So try and tell them about it. I know it might be disgusting to talk about, but it is something useful for them to learn. And it will save your both your sanitation device and your money in the end, because you don't have to buy that much toilet paper. And another thing, while they're at that age, you have to teach them that you are the parent, that you are the one who take control of stuff. You can have them tell a bit about what you want to do, like if you have to eat, and you ask them if they want a carrot or a cucumber to eat and stuff like that. But you have to not discuss a lot, but actually tell them that you are the adult, so it's your way or the highway. That might be hard, but it's better than discussing everything or trying to be their friends, because then they might not listen to you further down the line. Now, when they begin in school, there will be a lot of evolution happening. Um, a lot of stuff have already happened from a baby to the point where they go to school, and a major burst will happen as well here, because they will grow a lot during the school. And here it is very important to begin to emphasize on being to others like you want to be treated yourself, and teach them about empathy, and trying to teach them about how to be proper in school, because the school system works two ways. The school system works by themselves, but also by what they're doing with the parents, because the school system have them half the day and you have the kid the other half of the day. So they have to work in unison and have the same goals. And some of the goals the school will probably tell you about by saying we have to learn how to read in this class or something like that. But you also have to have focus on the social part, making sure that they have some friends, that there will be some social gathering where everyone is present. Maybe teach them all about empathy by showing as yourself how that works, because it is a skill you need to learn. And if we all teach our kids about that and make sure there's a lot of good friends in a class, you can eliminate something like bullying that can destroy a life. So it is very important to have an eye on how the social life of your kid is, and teach them about how to be social with people and about how to be good at other people. And I know that you might think, oh, but this kid here is very stupid and stuff, then don't say it out loud. You can think that, everyone thinks that at times, but don't say it out loud when your kid is hearing it, because what you're doing, your kid will mimic. So if you say to in front of the kid, this teacher is dumb, this child is dumb, then the child will say the same and will not respect the teacher or that child. So that is very important to remember. Then the next thing is, in that time they go to school, teach them stuff and at home as well. Give them chores, make them help with food preparation, make them help with putting up a lamp or something. So they begin to know tools and cooking and cleaning, and that will help them down the line, instead of just having them come home and dinner is served and they don't have to do anything. Then they won't have an idea of how to do that when they move out themselves. Maybe help them make a budget and pay the bills and stuff like that. Not like take their money to pay the bills, but show them how to pay bills. Then the next thing is when they reach the proper age of a teenager, and that happens way faster than we think as a parent. um, then it is very important to actually talk to them about the things they're going through. Like if it's a girl, talk about period, how breast works and how they feel at start, and research about it. You can listen to the sex ed talk I made, and that will help you and the child bond, and also make sure the child doesn't feel like unsecure and stuff down the line. Because if they know what they're going through and you know what they're going through, and you can talk about it freely and openly, they will come to you if they have problems because they know they can talk to you. And it's important for a parent to let the kid know that no matter what happens, they can come to you, no matter what they do. Like, let's say they broke something in a store, and they didn't come to you because they feared your response. Don't be mad and yell and all that. Say, okay, what happened? Ask slowly, get them to open up about it, and then don't just blame them and use justice and give them a week away in the room or something like that. No, don't do that. Talk to them, find out what happened. Be level-headed while you're doing it, because that way your kid will actually learn to come to you if there is any problems, because they don't fear you. They know that they can talk to you. And it's an important thing to be able to do as a kid, have parents they trust to come to, because a child goes through a lot of things that we as adults don't see, because it happens in the corners, it happens in school where you can't see what's happening. It's on social media, it's all around. Stuff can happen, and they need to know they have a safe base to go to. But if you instead yell at them every time they say, I'm sorry, I did something, then you are not helping the problem. Then you're becoming part of the problem, because then they don't dare go to you with their problems. Now, uh, we are reaching the part where they're beginning to be able to move out from home. And here it is important again to make sure they know how to cook, clean, do their laundry, how to make a budget account, how to make the money go around. So they have an idea of what money is and how it works. So they are not left dry after a week because they were like, well, I went to a party and I used all my money and I forgot to pay these bills, and then you have to bail them out. Instead, if you have taught them about money usage, what money is worth, how to make a budget account before all this, that will help them there. So I hope some of the stuff I said in this episode can help someone, or make someone think about how they might be raising a kid or how they're doing. And if you have any questions or something, Google it. Um, you can even ask a teacher at the school what to do, because they are educated into how to teach kids stuff, factual stuff, but also they have a sort of social teaching, so they can teach about social stuff. And to ask them, ask anyone. You can even ask your own parents about how they'll do stuff. But just remember that something they did might not work today, because when they did it, it might be 20 years ago. And we as a human evolve, and that is why we need to also evolve in the way we are treating people and our kids. So I hope that you found this interesting, and I hope you have a pleasant day. This has been Brand Class.